Hi there, my name's Angela and I'm from the Sheep Tree. It's been a while since I've posted a video. I did do a video, I haven't edited it, hopefully I'll edit it and pop it up for you. But what I thought I'd do today is to sort of show you what I've been doing. A lot has been going on, I've just not been filming it. So first on the things that I've been doing is the chicken run. I gave it its annual wood treatment, which means taking the chickens out of this one, popping them in the small run for a bit, and lifting this breaks into 3 sections. So I undid the bolts, put it into 3 sections, lifted it on blocks and treated it all, let it dry well, and then today, this morning, I popped the birds back in there with some fresh hay down. I've moved things around a bit as well, so because they dig themselves a dust bath under the house, so I've swapped the house and the compost over so that the ground doesn't just get worn away in one patch and it gets a chance to dry out in the other patch. You might also notice there are only 3 birds. A while ago I had a bird I'd separated out because she was getting bullied. She just got to the point where I thought, right, I'm going to pop her in, take the bully out, integrate her into the flock so that she is the existing flock, and then reintroduce the bully as the outsider. As I was thinking this, I came down in the morning and unfortunately she'd passed in the night. So I've got 3 birds now, which is still, I'm not looking at getting any more just yet because I'm getting 3 eggs a day out of them, which is more than enough for me. I'm here in the greenhouse. It's actually looking emptier than it was previously because I've been moving plants around. But I have got, my tomatoes are all down here and up there. A chap from one of the places I work has gifted me some tomatoes. These ones, he had a massive tomato and he saved some seeds from it. He doesn't know the variety, but I've got space, so I'll give them a go. And then I've got cucumbers in the back corner. I did put 2 seeds to a pot because I wasn't sure what the germination rate would be because it's old seed. Not best practice, but I'm actually going to split these and put them in separate pots rather than just cutting off the weakest because I will still have space to plant all of these cucumbers. And what else is new in here? I've got my flax down there, some peppers that germinated up in the house. I brought these ones down, they get covered with propagator lids at night. It's still not quite warm enough, but I haven't got space on any windowsills at the house. And then, probably just out of shot on this side, I've got some salad leaf down. I have sown my squash, my winter squash is over there, my summer squash is just over here, and some of them are just starting to germinate. Down there on the floor I've got some cosmos and dahlia, and then over here I've got some dill, some more lettuce leaf in pots, some more lettuce leaf in pots here, so they do need pricking out. And sorrel, snapdragon flowers. These I will deal with probably this afternoon. They are silver skin onions. And yeah, that's sort of it. I mean, there's plenty of things in here I could go on about, but you'll see them as they appear in the garden. This is the main vegetable plot that I have. I imagine this probably looks a little bit different to how it did last time I filmed it. I've done a bit of general sort of tidying and maintenance. So the bean cave, which is over there, has been fortified. I've added some extra poles there. We do get quite a lot of wind being sort of in a valley that comes across here. So once that has got a lot of beans growing up it does shake around a bit when the wind comes through. So I've done a bit of work on that. I've raked the mulch back on this patch and I've planted kohlrabi down there. Some beans and lettuce has gone in there and some lamb's lettuce. And then behind me I have got, there's more lettuce and radish, and then I've got the autumn sown garlic and onions that are across there with a remaining leek which I'm going to allow to go to flower and seed. And you can just see the little pop of colour there, that's some overwintered chard which is coming through. So I'll be eating off it and feeding it to the chickens until that bolts. There's what looks like a weed over there, and that is the celery that I've left in to see if that will go to flower and give me some celery seed. The far patch of dirt over there where the mulch is, there's a patch of open soil. That has got beetroot, chard and spinach seedlings that I've popped down there. So as you can see, I've got trays of plants dotted around. That's this afternoon's job, is to get those ones in the ground, which will free up some trays for me to prick out some more of my seedlings into. Here I have managed to put some potatoes in the ground. They might be destined to rot in the ground. We've had a ridiculous amount of rain here, but because this was covered ground, it was actually workable. So I dug down some trenches, put the potatoes in the bottom of them, and then if they pop up, I can earth them up as they go. So I don't grow many potatoes, I just pop a few in because where I live, it is effectively potato country. I actually work for a potato farmer, so we can always get very reasonably priced, locally sourced potatoes. So these are just a few that I grow each year, just because. And then here is my rhubarb. This is not bolting, it's a flowering variety of rhubarb, and at some point this weekend I will be picking some and canning it for later use throughout the year. So that's another one of my jobs to do. And this here was a cheeky little find. I noticed one of the farms I worked at had a delivery and they had a pallet collar on a pallet. I asked the farmer if he had plans for it, and she actually said that she wanted one for her garden. And speaking to the chap that works there as well, and he said, I asked him where it had gone, and he said he put them where he puts all the others. So there was a stack of about 4 pallet collars. So I nabbed one of them. I have treated this wood, and I plan on growing squash in here this year. So I'm just going to sort of lasagna garden in that I'll layer brown and green materials, and then when I want to pop the courgettes in, I will just dig a hole in that material, fill that hole with compost and put the plant in there. It's how I start most of my vegetable patches, is by growing squash on it like this. So that's what's going to go in there. Before I finally position this, I just need to bring a tape measure out and measure the diagonals just to make sure I've set it up square, because they are flexible. So, and I don't want to have a vegetable bed that is eventually going to annoy me because it's not square. This here is my herb garden, and it's doing quite well. These I had some vouchers for my birthday, I think. I think it might be about £20 of garden centre vouchers. And I bought some little 6cm pot plants of herbs. And this was one of them, and it's turned into a great big bush. I'm not sure, I've got oregano and marjoram, and I always get the two muddled up. So that's oregano and marjoram, and that's oregano or marjoram. This is lemon balm. Well, that's what the label said. I need to do a bit of research into this, because any lemon balm that I've seen doesn't look exactly like this. So whether it's just a weird variety lemon balm or whether it was mislabelled, but I will check on that. That there is thyme. Got a purple sage. That rosemary plant I grew from a cutting about 3 years ago. Got hyssop over there. Feverfew, which is just coming back to life down there. And this is some chamomile. It didn't flower last year, and it is still alive, but it'll be interesting to see what it does. And then over here, I have popped in some coriander seedlings. So I want to get the coriander seedlings in early so I can get a decent amount of coriander off of them before they bolt and go to seed. So this is one patch, and then I'll be dotting other patches around the garden. I'll hopefully find some sort of shadier location so that the season can be prolonged. Also to go in here, I will have some parsley and some dill seedlings, which are growing on in the greenhouse at the minute. And these here are also destined to go in that herb garden at some point, and possibly these ones. So these are thyme. There's 6 different varieties of thyme. I have some plug plants I'd ordered, so they've been potted on, and I'm basically going to wait until they've got a good set of roots within that pot and they want to be put out, then they will be going in the garden. These are lavender. Again, I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to put them, but they will be going somewhere. That whole tray is mint. That is destined for, I'm going to effectively have a mint hedge in my cottage garden. I'm going against everything that anybody ever says about mint. I am planting them directly into the ground. But they are going into, they're basically going along a fence line which has no garden beds adjacent to it. So at the minute it's lawn up to that fence line, so I'm going to plant the herbs, the mint, along that fence line in a bed that I will create, and then if they creep, they're only going to creep into the lawn and they'll be mown. I've already got mint in my lawn on the other end. I've got, I think there's peppermint and there's catmint, maybe an apple mint. That was planted in a bed before I arrived at this property. So I don't mind having mint in my lawn. It's not going to take over any other bed, so that is where they are going. They have grown huge, like since, I mean, they were about that big when they came. They have come along really well, but I will be waiting until, again, the roots have really established before I put them out. Here I have got some cuttings that I'm attempting to take. So I've got rosemary, there's the purple sage, and I've got a big water trough in front of the door to my cottage, and it has got a sage plant in it, and that's what these have come from. If the weather stays nice, I think I might need to move these because it's a bit warm in here for them, really. I was trying to protect them from getting waterlogged when it was raining, so I brought them in under cover, but this is the cooler of my indoor spaces, but it is still a bit warm in here for them. Here I've got some leeks. So I had a small tray of leeks, and I've since pricked them out into individual so they can grow on. Somewhere I have a garden plan, and I need to have a look at the garden plan. I know I've deviated from it, I do every year, but somewhere I will have set aside a patch which I would have put leeks in, because leeks are a long crop, they stay in the ground for a long time, and I can't remember where I said it was going to be. What else have we got here? These are my red cabbages, so they will be in here again until they've grown on quite a bit before they get put in the ground. And that is scarlet kale, which, as is, that's Nero kale and that's dwarf kale. So these all need to grow quite a bit more before I put them outside. And then here I've got my cabbages, which, in all fairness, some of them aren't far off. So I need to look at preparing my brassica bed. That's something else that I need to think about doing. And whilst I was here, I thought I would just show you one of the things that I'm constantly doing in this garden. So this garden is, although it is mainly no-dig, it has a few weeds that are the main problems for me, which is the kutch grass and bindweed. Basically, I do as Charles Dowding does. I take a trowel and I dig out the bindweed as far as I can get with as much root as I can. I throw that in the compost heap, and then I do it when it comes back up again, and eventually it exhausts itself and it will stop. But just to show you, so those two little bits there, that was what was above the ground and that was what was above the ground, actually has that much root on it, and it's actually broken off there, so it probably will come up again about there somewhere. But if you keep doing it, eventually it just kind of disappears. So what I'm trying to do is I leave my trowel out here, and as I go around the garden, if I see some, I pick it up and I throw it in one of the buckets I've got dotted around to go on the compost heap, where it will rot down and then won't grow back. So now that I've shown you what I've been doing, I better get on with some actual work. What I've got out here are some seedlings that are ready to go in the ground. I've got the second lot of field beans, so over here are the field beans I put in, I don't know when now, a few weeks ago anyway. So these are a couple of weeks behind them, and I only sowed a small amount to start off with, just to see how they would germinate, if they would germinate, or whether the rodents would eat the seeds. And they were successful, so I popped those ones in. So this little gap here is going to be filled with more field beans and more lettuce leaves. Here I have got some lamb's lettuce that I put in, and in the gaps in between I am going to fill it with rocket. So I will have a strip of lamb's lettuce and rocket once that comes away. And then here I've got some broad beans, which I tried to grow last year because I liked the flowers they had, and I wasn't successful. But this year they have germinated well, so I was just going to put a single row, and they're called crimson flowered, of broad beans in, and we will see how they do. And then the only other thing going in this little patch here is I've got some spring onions, which I was going to interplant amongst the lettuce strip that's just down there, and because I think beyond that, that is my sweet corn patch, so it's going to be a while before anything that goes in there is up and away and competing, so the spring onions should have plenty of time to do their thing. So yeah, I'm going to get cracking with that one. In this little patch, I've got kohlrabi in at the minute. These were transplanted to the ground direct from being pricked out, and the slugs have got some of them but not all of them. So what I'm going to do is, these have been pricked out into a tray and grown on a bit more, so I'm going to fill any gaps with these, and then I'm going to start new rows. And then just behind me I'm going to plant these, which I do have two of in that patch, and they went out a few weeks ago, but these have been growing on under cover, and they are 60 days broccoli is what they're called, and they aren't a true broccoli. They're not even a true sprouting broccoli. It's more like a flower. So I've not tried them, but what I've read about them, it's more like when you let kale go to flower and you eat the kale flowers. So it's supposed to be a quick cropping brassica broccoli type thing. So I'm going to pop these here in the hope that they'll be a little bit sheltered from the wind when they get a bit bigger, and fill in the gaps of my kohlrabi. finally, before I can go in and grab some lunch, I'm just going to pop these onions in. I did put the, I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but the red onion seedlings in the other day. And I think these are the white onion seedlings. The better grown onions, you can see, they were grown from sets, and they were planted, I want to say October, it might have been November by the time they went in, I'm not sure. These were grown from seed, so I started them off by chitting them, and then as soon as I seen they sprouted, I popped them in a tray and they grew on in my windowsill. So they've been going since early February. They're not my best. I left them too long on a windowsill that wasn't light enough, and they went leggy, so I ended up actually potting them on so I could get them buried a bit deeper. And they're looking okay, but we'll see what I get out of them. I've got a space down here, so I am planting them a bit closer together because I'm not expecting excellent big onions from them. But I will pop these in because just because they don't look great, I don't really want to waste them. And then I'm going to go get some lunch. I will be doing more jobs this afternoon, but I won't be filming them, so I'll catch you up on those once I've done them, sort of similar to I've done in this video. But I'll say thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you again next time.